Hi, I'm in denial, and this is Assassins Creed Valhalla, a game where you can sweep, stack wood, eat soup with your bare hands, and kill sheep. And other animals too, because I'm an animal lover. My first task of the day is to meet up with my lovable rogue of a friend Ivor, and chief annoying cunt Chelbert. You can easily spot which one Chelbert is because he is the one that is an annoying cunt. I approach them both and Ivor begins to warm his hands up the same way my proctologist does before he gets acquainted with my prostate. Same face too, and like my proctologist, no gloves. Ivor comes up with a plan to smash this pleasant little village into kindling and burn it to ashes, and then we're gonna cut some guy's throat. Good times. It's at this point that Chelbert proves my point.
I hope to fight well, not cruelly.
What a cunt. We continue to plan and have a little disagreement about how to do things. Ivor says he wants to push in hard and loud, whereas I say let me just slip in quietly as that way I can last longer. I mean, it may earn us some more time. I then proceed to slide in and maintain my stealthy advantage. It is then that Ivor mocks my ability to please him, which honestly hits me pretty hard as I put in a lot of hours work of practice with my hand.
Eivor, are you not done? Have you stopped to nap? Enough! I will have blood! Evil!
He then gets a bit weird, so I set fire to the local Viking orphanage, and immediately I feel better about my inability to satisfy Ivor. I then proceed to kill the locals, which was a bad call on my part. Why burn an orphanage down if no one knows you did it? That's going in my things to improve journal tonight. After murdering the residents of this nice village, I take a moment to catch my breath because murder is very heavy on the cardiovascular system and rest is just as important, if not more so, than murder. It is a very brief moment of respite, however, as the caped cunt appears to ruin the little time I had to myself. I'll let him off just this once though because his energy is inspired and he goes on to invent white man dancing. If I had any criticism at all, it would be that the moves are a little repetitive, the footwork's a little sloppy, and he can't dance for shit. Time to go when out of nowhere some vikinger, what a shit joke, comes at me. Of course I expertly dodge them because I am an absolute pro. I then proceed to miss the guy or gal and get stabbed. But of course I defeat them in the end because as I said, I am an absolute pro. I see an underground Viking and promptly kill him with one mighty blow. Chelbert, we fucking get it, stop fucking dancing you dick. I wander off for a bit to see the beautiful sights of this picturesque village and return to see Ivor bust in some breathtaking shapes, absolutely faultless. I think to myself, hey, I've been known to cut a rug or two in the past. Let's show this mug how the hoedown really go down. And then everyone would have clapped if I hadn't committed mass homicide. At this point I've nearly burnt down an entire village and to be honest, nothing makes me hungrier. So after burning down some poor gal's house, I decide I've earned some pig, so I take out 2 of her pigs whilst the daughter watches on. I assume in awe, as I took out 2 pigs in one hit, she'll probably go and tell her friends down at the orphanage. Having finished molesting the village into submission, I meet up with Ivor and the other one to tell them about how with a flick of the wrist and one mighty blow, I ended up with all the pork I could fit into my mouth. Ivor then explains to Chelbert that we are better than him, which I think was the right thing to do. We then have a little heart to heart and it appears that all this murdering was to make for a more peaceful working environment, which I'm all for. No one likes working in a toxic environment, it's not good for your mental health. Ivor is of the opinion that we need to do more murdering to make it extra peaceful. Old problems require old solutions. Chelbert now says he wants to go fishing, so Ivor promptly rips the piss out of him. And then for some reason we actually go and do it. On our way to the pond I spot a man who seemed a little glum. I asked him how things were and he just kind of shrugged. Now I think we all know that that's the universal sign for please kill me. Say no more brother, I got you. Of course I had to retrieve my arrow from his chest cavity, I'm not made of arrows. Now I thought this was a top play right here. The guy wants eels. Birds by the pond probably eat eels. Ergo, killing the bird equals eels. But apparently not, so fishing simulator it is. I catch 3 eels because any more and I may have killed myself. and then I go and show Ivor my huge eel. He touches it and says it's slimy. I'm hurt. This is the second time Ivor has hurt my feelings. I mean, how long before he starts getting physical with me? As the bishop arrives, I swiftly sheath my eel, and he proceeds to tell me that Jesus used to fish for souls or some shit. I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention. I was still thinking of how me and Ivor could mend our relationship. Ivor gets in a bit of a mood and storms off and says something about farting.
You hear me farting?
Classic Ivor. Then Chilbert the Dickless lectures me on bruising my partners. I say we try to practice safe sex and ask if he has any balm.
If you have some balm for it, by all means share it.
He refuses to give me any balm, the absolute tease, and tells me that he's going to hunt him a boar. What a dick. Me and my good fellow Father Fat are discussing important man things such as penises and how to plait your hair, when some broad rudely interrupts and tells us something about bras or tampons or something.
The Britons have come!
We walk off and out of nowhere, right in front of us are the Britons. I mean, why didn't anyone tell us they were on their way, for fuck's sake? Luckily I was prepared and handled the whole situation like a true champ. And after she laid her eyes on me, she didn't stand a chance. Women find themselves standing in a puddle of their own piss, because that's how arousal works. Whenever Ivor enters them, I mean the room, and from that moment on a truce was formed. I suppose I should mention at this point that Chilbert has kind of gone missing. No one can find him, but as no one cares, no one's really tried to find him. But because of story progression, I've been forced to find the little sissy. I find the last person to see him to get some info on where he's gone, and would you believe it, the guy who knows where he's gone is a little bit tipsy. Like Lindsay Lohan kidnapping refugee tipsy. His brother tells me that if I can get him wet, wink wink, he'll sober up and release the refugee without injury. I mean, tell me where Chilbert went. My first attempt at this doesn't work, as apparently he needs to near drown to sober up. Who'd have thought? I try again and offer to pay for his dry cleaning, as I feel a bit bad about dumping him in a lake that is more than likely full of cow piss. He tells me where he last saw the quote, soft Saxon boy. Burn, Chilbert. And I head there at a leisurely pace. I know his life is possibly at stake, but this tree was just dying to be climbed, and I'm sure he'll be fine anyway. And look, I even found some treasure. If Chilbert is still alive, it's what he'd want me to do. Now I have to admit, blood trails are not usually a good sign, though sometimes they can be. For instance, if I was looking for Chilbert and there was blood everywhere, it may mean he's dead, which would be good. I venture further into what I'm going to call the menstrual cavern. With all the blood, it just seems to make sense. And I find Chilbert's bow. I would take it, but his bow is shit. After fighting off some wolves and squeezing through some tight spots in the menstrual cavern, I find a little girl covered in blood. Not really, it was Chilbert. He's got a knife in his stomach, so I thought it'd be best to leave it in, as removing it could cause serious damage. Not really, I whip that sucker out. I head back to camp with the big lump, but not before a quick prank. I lay him down, and then I repeatedly dunk my Viking balls in his mouth. It takes me a little while to position myself to ensure good contact, but I think sometimes in life when you spend a little extra time on something, the results show that. I get him back to camp, and Ivor, the big softy, wants to know what happened. I tell Ivor, and he is pretty happy now, as he's got a reason to go and kill some Britons or something. The bishop also tries to respectively give his best rendition of giving a shit that Chilbert is dead. But you know, Chilbert. I also pay my respects. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for poor little Cedric. A real top bloke. Died far too young. I can only pay my respects for so long though, as some of the guys started crying and it just made it awkward. I think about shooting them with an arrow, but quickly realised that it would only incite more crying. I mean, grow some balls. That, my friends, was the story of how Chilbert the Dickless died a hero. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe.